Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. We are so happy that you joined us today. Our special guest, who is back by popular demand, Aditya, did I say
Yeah,
that right? Varanasi, did I
you did
say that
great.
right? Who is a digital marketing trailblazer who, after 14 years at PepsiCo, saw an opportunity to adapt advertising technology that had long been reserved for Fortune 100 corporations to help small businesses hop on emerging digital marketing trends and increase their bottom line. Oh, wow. Welcome, Varanasi. I can never get this right. Can we have a nickname? Can you give me a
You could use my
nickname?
initials if you want, AV.
Okay, AV. Wow, let's jump right in because if you're not familiar, AV has been here before, and it was an amazing interview. And he's back with us to share more about his company. So, you want to go ahead and tell everybody what your company is all about?
Yeah, so at Awareness, our focus is to make world-class advertising accessible to everyone. When you think about most businesses, small businesses, they pour a lot of money into social media, they pour a lot of money into search. They're great advertising channels, great ways to get new customers, find people when they're searching for a product or service you might be able to help with, or develop engagement through social channels. But what's been missing is a lot of these companies can't really afford brand awareness building the way large enterprises can. So you think about
Right,
TV, billboards, you think about those brands you see on TV all the time, and they're generally larger brands with big budgets. So our mission at Awareness is to bring that kind of exposure to small businesses at a local level. And so we do that with ads that we place on websites or commercials we place on streaming TV programs that can be hyper targeted down to the zip code. So you may have a local restaurant that's only serving maybe 5 to 10 miles of where you're located. We can isolate those ads. And even if you're on a national website like ESPN.com, you'd only be seen if that website's loaded in the areas you service. And so it's a great way and a very efficient way for small businesses to reach new customers and build awareness, because when people buy, it's a journey. I know we like to think we'll throw an ad out there, people will see it, they're going to come to our site and become a lead. But if you put yourself in the shoes of the customer, there's a journey. Think about the last time you bought something or even tried a new restaurant. You had to hear about it somehow. That's awareness. You had to look into it and maybe ask friends if they've been there, look at the menu, look at reviews. That's engagement. And then ultimately you want to see if they had a reservation or if they were available the time you wanted to go in, and that's conversion. And so that same strategy applies to all businesses, big and small. We're just trying to help businesses of all sizes have access to the same thing. And this automation we've developed has a lot of application where even larger companies are using it to get much more granular with getting their message out there. So you may have a zip code or an area where you have a certain population profile, maybe a lot of young families, and you have a different message for those young families versus another part that may be higher income. You may have a different message touting premium features of your product in those higher income zip codes. You may have another area that's more, maybe it's middle class, and you have a different message you want to serve them. And so enterprise companies are also starting to use our ability to locate those messages in a different way to personalize that advertising for the people in that community.
wow, that's amazing. So, how can people reach out to you?
Well, the best way is through our website, awareness.com. We'll provide a free marketing assessment for people listening to your podcast. If you go to awareness.com/thegift and fill out the form there, and we'll follow up with you with a marketing assessment. Our goal is to help businesses of all sizes reach new customers and do so as efficiently as possible. So we're happy to help.
Yes, that's amazing because small businesses, they need this. They should have the same opportunities as bigger businesses have. Because let's face it, there's a lot of large businesses, but there's tons of small businesses. And they're springing up every day looking for affordable resources to help grow their
Yeah.
business. So let me ask you, what is your procedure? How do you work with a client?
Yeah. So right now, the way that we work with the client is they'll generally come to our website and they'll book a demo, and we'll show them our platform. We'll learn a little bit more about their business and what their goals are. And then we'll provide them a recommendation on how we can help reach their target customer. And look, we'll be the first ones to tell someone if somebody comes and says, "Hey, I just need leads and I need leads tomorrow." We'll tell them your dollars today may be better spent on lower funnel channels like paid search. But that only is going to reach a certain number of people because there's only a finite number of people searching for any topic at any given moment. And when they're ready to expand their reach and reach new people and widen their funnel, that's when we'll come back with a recommendation that fits their budget. Their budget's small, we'll recommend maybe we narrow the targeting, maybe we narrow the geography so that we're very focused on where we spend the dollars versus spreading it too thin, and try to help them find the most efficient way to reach new customers.
Okay, now how does it work for online businesses? Because online businesses typically have a more of I'll say, a
Yeah,
wider
yeah.
audience. So how does this work for online
So
businesses?
it goes a couple of different ways, and we do work with a lot of online businesses. The first one is we can again isolate zip codes that meet certain profiles. There was a company we work with; they sold a very premium personal care product, and we isolated zip codes that were over $100,000 a year and only served their ads in those zip codes. So rather than serving coast to coast, they're able to serve in the areas where people may be more interested in buying their product. Uh, it could also, there's other ways that we could target where we might narrow it and say, hey, let's focus on a single region if your budget's limited. What region are you most developed in and want to grow more? Or what region are you maybe less developed in and want to grow more? And we'll look at different ways to target different geographies to help fit whatever budget they may have. And then of course, as they see the results, they're always looking to expand.
Wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting. And it's like you got everybody covered. So the small brick and mortar, like say for example, in my neighborhood, there's a vacuum cleaner
Yeah.
spot, and he just bought this spot. So how can you serve like the mom and pop
Yeah,
shop?
same thing. Our campaigns start for as little as $300 a month, and that's all in.
Mm-hmm.
That includes the cost of the media, and there's a one-time startup fee of $500, but that gets you custom creative, a custom targeting strategy, access to the dashboard and the platform. That's one time, and then $300 a month, and we'll serve anywhere from 50 to 150,000 ad impressions to their target customer, getting the name out there. It's not that they're going to see one ad. Sure, some people may see an ad and make a phone call if they have a need right away, but the goal is to seed that top of mind awareness so that over time, when people do have a need for a vacuum cleaner, that's one of the places they think of because they've been seeing it over the last few months.
Yes, that's amazing. Now, in terms of like say commercials, what's the length of a commercial that you can use? I know there's 30
Yes.
seconds, 60 seconds, but I've been seeing in my area a lot of commercials where they're actually, especially home improvement, they seem to be the most heaviest in showing how they're doing things. They kind of show the whole process, and I know it's more than 60 seconds.
Yeah, my opinion on that, and look, some of this is going to come from experience, and some of it's going to come from opinion. People have short attention spans. And so I'm always a big believer, the faster you can get to the one thing that matters to them, the more likely they're going to remember you. And we see 4,000 to 6,000 ads a day. And we tune out a lot of them. I can't remember seeing 4,000 ads yesterday or 6,000 ads yesterday. But the ones we remember are the ones that speak to us. And they speak to us because they're addressing a problem we face or an opportunity we see, and they're presenting a solution that means something to us. And a lot of times, the way to break through the noise is simplicity. If you try to tell people every little thing about your product and you're going to a 60-second commercial, well, you're going to have people fall off and stop paying attention after a certain amount of time. When I was at PepsiCo, we would see on brands like Cheetos that a lot of times 15-second commercials were just as effective as 30-second commercials. But the reason for that is everybody knows what a Cheeto is. We're just reminding them what makes Cheetos unique. And
Yes.
and so 30 seconds, I think, is an appropriate kind of center point to think about for most businesses. If you're a high awareness business where everybody knows who you are, you can have success with 15-second spots. But I would say 30 seconds, and think about yourself as a consumer. How many times do you stay completely focused on a 60-second commercial? It's hard. It requires concentration sometimes. And the last thing we want to do is make things harder for our potential customer. We want to make it easier.
Absolutely. Now, what about the number of times a person? Because I think that's the
Yeah.
key is how often they
No,
see
and
it.
I hear complaints from people saying, how come I'm seeing that company's ads so many times? And there's a curve. If you get seen too few times in a month, let's say, people may or may not remember. If they see you too many times, there's a point of diminishing returns where each time they see it after that, it's not really going to make a difference on how they think about your product. And so there's a sweet spot in there. And I think that sweet spot varies a little bit based on the industry, based on your brand awareness. But if you want to stay top of mind, we like to say minimum you want to be seen on average twice a month. And that's probably at the absolute low end. I would set that more 3 to 4 times a month on average would be an appropriate kind of baseline. And then at a max, particularly for prospecting new customers, I don't think you really want to be north of 10 to 15. That's pretty high. Generally, 10 to 15 is where we try to get our people, where we're remarketing to people who've been to their website ad. So they're seeing your ad every couple of days. So you're just staying top of mind with them as, hey, this is something I was interested in. I'm seeing the ad every couple of days to remind me I was interested in that.
Okay, yes, because I know, I watch TV and I pay attention to the advertisings, and sometimes they come on and then they come right back on and then right back on. It's like, okay, do you have any more
Yeah.
commercials? Especially on the lower end streaming platforms, they tend to show the same ones over and over, and probably because they don't have enough people yet advertising
Well,
on
the
their
other thing
streaming
too is
app.
there's a thing called frequency caps, and we set that on every campaign. We make sure nobody's seen too many times in 1 hour, for example, or over a 2 to 3 hour period, or even a 12-hour period sometimes. We'll cap that to make sure that you're not oversaturating a single person, because by the third time you've seen the same ad in a day, it's not changing anything for you. That's almost wasted money. If anything,
Yeah.
you can start annoying people. We had somebody call us. They must have just looking for Sling TV, and we showed up because we can advertise on Sling TV. And she wanted to complain that she kept seeing the same commercial over and over again. And we had to tell her, we're sorry, that's not somebody we're working with. That's not something we can control. We're not Sling TV, and it's not Sling TV's fault. Some advertiser set it up that way, where they were trying to get as many views as possible, and they crossed the threshold of that saturation curve.
Yeah, because that can be very annoying, just in comparison to phone
Yeah,
calls, telemarketers. That's how
yeah,
you feel when you keep seeing the same commercial over and over and over
yeah.
again. Wow, so that's wonderful that you guys take all of that kind of thing in consideration. And how do you come to know all of this kind of stuff? Do you like ask people, what they want to see in terms of commercials? How do you get here? How did you get here in order to know the thresholds and things like that?
So, we have a data science team as part of what we do. And we look very
Mm-hmm.
closely at patterns and results and what drives impact. And so that's a big part of what we do is make database decisions and apply kind of universal best practices across all of our clients. Because again, if our mission is to make world-class advertising accessible to everyone, we've got to be able to dot those I's and cross those T's in the areas that our clients may not be thinking about because it's not an area they spend a lot of time working. And so we take pride in looking at things very, very closely. For me personally, I was an engineer before I got my MBA and got into marketing. So I was always very curious about how this stuff worked and the metrics behind it. And you look at enough
Mm-hmm.
numbers over the years and look at it from different angles on different brands and different businesses and different goals. And then here, working with the thousands of clients that we've worked with over the years, you start to see patterns and you start to see, hey, what works, what doesn't work. And you want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that those small businesses can benefit from that knowledge base they may not have access to otherwise.
Yes. And also, my next question for you is the the trends changing with the trends because now we have
Yep.
AI. So that's a whole nother animal. How does your company embrace AI in your
Yeah, no,
business?
it's a good question. Look, first off, the word AI doesn't really have a universally aligned definition. For some people, it's generative AI like ChatGPT or some of the creative generation out there, image, text. For some people, anything with a regression model could be AI. But we always take a step back and we say, look, our goal, good advertising is about three things. It's about reach. Are you reaching the right people? It's about frequency. Are you doing so at an appropriate frequency? Going back to your previous question, you don't want to reach them too often. You don't want to reach them not enough. And then finally, are you presenting a compelling message? Are you presenting something that matters to that prospective customer, that solves a need they may have in their lives? And so when you keep the goal in mind, applications for things like AI come to play. So we've developed our own machine learning or AI systems to optimize for reach and frequency. We've developed our own to help ensure our ads are seen by the right people. We found ways to bring the cost per impression down and drive up the quality of the placements using AI because we're focused on some very specific goals. And we've started using AI to help jumpstart some text generation. Now, we still have a human involved, but it can help with some brainstorming. It can help with different
Mm-hmm.
ways of looking at, different language usage to convey a complex message, for example. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
trying different use cases, seeing what works, what doesn't work. But the goal is if you start with, I've got a solution, let's find a problem to solve it, and then you say AI is a solution, how do I use it? The world, it's infinite. There's too many things that you could do to wrap your head around. But if you say, I've got a specific problem that I'm relying on manual process to do right now, or it's very difficult for manual process to do, can AI be a tool to help me solve that problem? Now you're getting to a specific use case where you could apply it. And if you even think back, the last thing like AI that we've had in the world was the internet. Back in the 90s,
Yes.
the internet started to emerge, and we all knew it was big. We all knew that the possibilities were pretty limitless, like AI, but it took people like Jeff Bezos and Amazon to say, hey, we can move retail here. And he started with a bookstore and grew it into the everything store.
Mm-hmm.
It takes people to say, what is a problem? What is a way we can make people's lives better? What's a problem we can solve in their life using this tool? Focus on that problem and then let the technology assist in solving a defined problem versus saying, I've got technology, let's find a problem to solve with it.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. That is the approach to
Right.
everything. It's always about solving a
Right.
problem down to the most smallest
Yeah.
problem. We do it all the time. Sometimes we don't even think about it, you know, but it's part of our daily interaction all day long,
Absolutely.
for sure. So again, how can people connect with you and your company?
Yeah, visit our website, awarity.com, AWARITY.com. And if you want a marketing assessment, especially for your listeners, awarity.com/the gift. And you can fill out a simple form and we'll come back and provide a marketing assessment for you.
Wow. Thank you so much, AV. This is AV's second time on this show because I think that his topic and what his company does is very, very important, especially being able to service people that may not be in the $1 million realm of
Yeah.
things and still on their journey of getting there. So it's always good to know companies that work with a lower budget. So we're so glad, AV, that you joined us, and we're going to do this again. And looking forward to more conversations. And again, tell everybody about the gift that you have just for listening.
Yes, awarity.com/the gift.
Okay, well, that's easy enough. All righty now. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thanks for having me on.
And absolutely. And thank you, audience, for tuning in. We appreciate you as well. So many blessings to you and yours.